Alright, so today we are taking a look at something I've kind of had my eye on for a while, and I never really quite got around to pulling the trigger on it. And then they showed off that potential jazz that they're working on. And so here he is. It is Kuro, Kuri, Optimus Prime from Flame Toys. These are fully licensed figures. They do not transform. They're kind of really high-end, with a lot of die-cast and gimmicks, collector figures. Stylized designs, although the more I mess around with him, the more I realize he's less stylized than I initially didn't. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of the thing, but having him in hand of their basic design thing, he's actually a lot of the pictures showed him from angles like this with his arms out and I get why people like it. It's that kind of Japanese mecha pose, but in these poses with his crotch thrust out, and he just looked really they all look really broad and not exactly the proportions that I look for. But when you but from certain angles, I watched a couple of reviews before I did it, and I realized that it doesn't always look. A lot of it's the angles they're shooting it at, because when you get him down, you actually stand him up straight. And again, if you're into the big, forward pelvis thrust posing, they've got you covered, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying, if you actually stand him up, he's actually not nearly as drastically stylized from his IDW self as I thought. The windows are a little different shape. He's still got the split windows with the Autobot symbol in the middle. He's got the little headlights down here on his abs. He does have the kind of angular abs, but he's actually a fairly lithe, a very solid Optimus. And also these armor pieces on the legs, for another added measure, if you pop those off, he's actually a pretty nice, standardly proportioned Optimus Prime. Again, some different changes, and again, there's a slightly larger crotch, especially from the side here, but a very lovely looking Optimus. I mean, and he looked nice beforehand, but it just more to what I personally would prefer in an Optimus. He fits that look. And I don't even mind, like I said, that's just something you can do. I don't mind these being on here. They do go on one side, so if you take them off, make sure you put them back on the proper side, because they won't fit quite correct if you try to swap them. But yeah, so here he is. He's, like I said, a lot of die cast, a brilliant paint job on him. He's got some different shades, like some darker maroon red and some brighter Optimus reds and blues, and little details and gold paint and silver paint picked out. The wheels they feel kind of rubbery, but I'm pretty sure they're plastic, but they even have a different texture than just a hard, shiny black plastic. They feel like they could, and they kind of look like they could be rubber on the wheels here. But just really nicely done. A lot of posability. You've got, like I said, just a lot of range of motion. Hey, you don't want to go too much, because he does have some LED features, which we'll go into in a minute. But even the front and side panels on the shoulders, the front, back, and side panels can get out of the way, so the arms can come up in a very wide range of poses here. The wrists are on a ball joint, and then another ball joint up here. There's a waist plate that's on a ball joint in there. And when that moves, depending on how you have the arm positioned, as that moves, there's even a piston there in the forearm that moves as you move the hand. When you tilt it in certain ways, as you move the elbows and rotate them around, this panel keeps flat, but as you rotate it around the square piece, it can open up to allow for a free rotation without catching or scraping anything, which is nice. He's got an ab crunch that can come down. And then his waist, as you move his waist, his little crotch plate will automatically, and his back plate will automatically move out of the way to allow for some of that posing. And then these are all on ball joints. The legs, the knees are a little loose. I wish the knees were slightly tighter on mine, but nice smooth hips, thigh swivel. And the legs, the mechanism in the legs, as you can see, that as he bends his leg, the kneecap kind of folds up around the leg, and you can fold it all the way around like that, which is pretty impressive. And like I said, it's just engineered so you're not exposing any gaps or any hollow pieces. Watch, you can even see it folds up, and the wheel assembly folds into the leg to allow it to collapse. Because as I bring this leg down, you'll see that wheel pop back out here. You can see now it's visible past this blue part, but as you fold it in, one of the first things as the knee folds in, that wheel assembly, when you fold it at the lower joint, folds into the leg to allow it to come all the way up. You got a little just armor flap back there, side armor flaps on the heels or on the ankles, and then a really decent range of motion here in the foot. There's like a joint, there's like a ball joint. It's hard to see. There's an armature that comes up off the foot into a ball joint at the back of the leg, so you've got good ankle tilt rotation. Just insanely posable on this guy. And that's the basic out-of-the-box Optimus Prime. Now, there was an exclusive version that came with a big jet axe that this one did not include. If anybody knows where I can get my hands on that jet axe, like I've exhausted all my contacts trying to hunt one down. But if you know where I might be able to get my hands on one of the big jet axes for them, I certainly wouldn't mind getting one and the hands that go with it. But that said, the accessories that come with him are pretty liberal as it is. First off, the LEDs, there's two buttons, these gold buttons back here on his back plate. If you push this one on the left, let me turn off one of these lights so maybe we'll get some. The one over here above his left shoulder, it lights up his, you can lift these panels up. Get that, make sure the arms come back. Oh yeah, he's got ab crunch, or not crunch arms, but he's got, yeah, his arms can crunch forward. So make sure they're back. But you open up, and you can open up these panels and see some tech detailing in his chest that lights up. And then there's a little inner panel here you can lift up to expose the matrix. And right now it's just kind of a shiny metallic blue, but when you hit this button over here on this shoulder, it lights up both the matrix and his eyes. So you can just have the matrix and the eyes lit up and turn off the chest panels, or you can leave the chest panels on and just have the thing, because his eyes are kind of painted a silvery blue anyway, so he's got eyes in there, and then they just light up a little brighter when the lights are on. So you can do it either way. Like I said, you can just turn that off and have those on. He also has, we'll go ahead and turn both of those back on, because he also has down here in each knee, there's a little switch back here that turns on the little headlights on his kneecaps. Now, you'll need 7 LR41 batteries. Mine came with them. Like, I actually bought a pack off of Amazon, a pack of 10 for like $2 off of Amazon that got here the same day. And then when I was pulling them out of the package, there were some little baggies with the lights in, or with the batteries in them. So I had all 7 batteries. So like your mileage may vary on that. I know sometimes they can't ship overseas, so depending on where it comes from, you might have to face with some restrictions where you don't have those batteries, but you need 7 LR41s. And then you can have them all lit up like this. There's a screw right here that 3 of them go in his back. You just unscrew this little screw and pull this panel off. 3 go right in there. And there's a little diagram to show you which way they go. And it's the same with the kneecaps. The kneecaps actually just pop off. And there, as you can see, the little switch right here. There's a little screw right down here. And then each kneecap takes 2 of the LR41 batteries. But you don't have to, like, if you're having trouble getting to the switch, you can pop them off, turn the switch on, and plug them back in. They kind of go in at a slight angle here. But with that knee bend, if you don't bend it all the way back where this piece comes up and covers it, you just bend it right there. You can kind of get your finger in there and get that switch on and off. It's entirely up to you. Just so we don't wear out the LEDs, I'm going to go ahead and turn them off for now. But very nice display options there. Turn the light back on. Now that's just the base robot, and the base robot by himself is very cool. Let's do a quick, just a quick comparison with Optimus's. Here he is with the Earthrise Leader Optimus. And speaking of other stylized Optimuses, here he is with Cross Dimension Striker Manus. And at a similar price point, here he is with MP44. Just like I said, he's slightly shorter than I expected these to be, just based on what I remember. I'd seen Tarn on display at TFCon. But he's a nice looking Optimus. They got the Stealth Bomber Megatron coming, but like I said, I really am looking forward to having him on the shelf with the Jazz that they've shown off, because I like that design. So accessories. First, right off the bat, one, he comes with accessories that kind of represent all the various generations of Optimus. So like here is a very G1 Optimus, but he does come with he comes with two very animated-esque axes. He comes with two obviously movie-inspired swords, Bay movie swords, and then he does come with his G1 rifle here, which is not completely extended. It's got a couple different modes. It's got you can do it as a short rifle. You can extend the barrel. You can extend the back. And you can put it somewhere. Personally, I think this is this is way too short. This is way too long for me. But you can kind of slide this barrel back a little bit, slide this in a little bit, and make it however, and put it anywhere in between that you really want. Like even that doesn't look too bad to me. But it's entirely up to you. And this folds up, and we'll show you how that works in a minute, because he also has a jetpack here that is articulated. The wings are articulated, again, more the IDW-esque wings with little thrusters here on the jetpack, and it clips on. Now, I have had some trouble if I try to clip in, on the top first and then try to attach the bottom, it doesn't really want to go in. And if I try to put in the bottom first, then it won't want to angle into the top. And trying to get it to go straight in has been, it wants to either take one or the other tab and not let the other one in. But I found that if I take it and kind of put it in at an angle like this, where I get both of them lined up first and then squeeze it in, it snaps right into place. So he's got this posable backpack that thrusters can pose. You can angle them back, you can angle them out to the sides. There's also little verniers, little side vents that can come out on the sides of the thrusters. The fins can rotate and angle back however you want to display those. And there is, speaking of the small rifle, there's a little spring-loaded panel back here on the top of the jetpack that you can take this and you want to put it in, make sure the handles are facing out. You can see where the square notch is for them. You can slide this down in. Oh wait, first you got to open this. You got to open that up. Oh, see that? Popped it out of that top tab there. So let's get it back. There we go. Clip it back into place. And then I open this panel up, and then you can just slide this through and store the gun just gently, because you don't want to scrape any paint. But you can slide that through all the way down and store it on his back. You can rotate that around as well. Just like that. And you can actually store, well, I guess you can't store all of his weapons on him, but it's got this little clip, and this clip is removable. If you don't want to use it, you can take it off, store it back in the box, because there is some painted detail under here. You don't have to have this big, great clip sitting on him if you don't intend to use it, but it holds. There is, he comes with a giant matrix sword as well, in the little Cybertronian stone, little plinth. And you can pull the sword out. And the sword itself is pretty, we'll show him holding all these accessories here soon. But the sword is pretty cool because it's got the matrix design in it. And if you line it up right, you can put it in this, and it kind of sits right about chest height. So when it's closed like this, the little gem is transparent. And if you turn on his matrix light, it kind of matches up with the matrix in his chest, which is cool. But if you push the handle in, it closes off that, but it opens up the hilt there, the pommel. Well, I guess this is the pommel. It opens up the cross guard. And it's got the Autobot symbol on it there. And then if you want to store it, there's a couple little, you can see there's a little notch here on either side. And you can take this and you can clip it into this backpack bit. I didn't clip it into both sides. There we go. So you can carry that on his back now. The swords have little tabs here that can flip out to either side. But you can take out that little gray tab and attach it onto his waist. Yep. This little movable panel here on his waist, and then this thing right. I find it helps if you like flip it out, and then in the little open space where the clip is, use that to secure it. You put like a fingertip or a thumb in there to secure that and hold it straight as you plug it in, although then you still got to deal with the wiggly bits here. But once you get it in, it actually goes in if you get it lined up right fairly easily. And you can store the swords on his hips. And then you can change out his hands and have him hold his axes. But like, that's a pretty 3 swords, his gun, his jetpack. That's an Optimus pretty loaded for bear. He does come with several hand options. You get 2. They all got mixed up here. But and I like he comes with the closed fists attached. But you get a pointing hand for each side. Like I like that every hand is mirrored. There's no like one pointing hand, right pointing hand, and one left open hand. Like everything gets a match. So you get a pointing finger for either hand, for either side. A loose open hand. Actually, is this 2 different ones? No, okay. So there's 2 hands for holding weapons, and which one you use is really up to you. But there's one with kind of a loose finger, and there's one with a tighter finger. And if you look closely, you can kind of see one has this finger kind of curves like this, whereas on this one it's more of a hard angle on the finger that holds the hand. You can see there's like a slight curve to one and a hard angle on the other. But both of those have matching pairs as well. Pointing hands, and then you get a couple different kinds of, you get 2 open hands where just kind of open grabbing hands, and then there's more of a slightly wider fingered and you can tell the difference because of that first index finger tip. You can see how it's kind of bent back on this pair of hands where it's more straight on this one. And then side by side you can see the different angle of the poses. One is more open splayed hand, another one of them is kind of like almost a reaching out to grasp hand, and one of them is kind of like a hey wait stop or a waving hand. You know, you see the thumb comes out a little bit more on those various hands. And again, like I said, we can swap those out. Personally, I find it easier, like if I'm going to have him hold a weapon in the hand, to take the weapon, especially these axes, and take the hand that I'm going to put it in. If I can find it here, one of these grabbing hands. There we go. Slide it in, just gently. Some of them takes a little wiggling to get them in there, but slide it into the hand, and then there's a cutout in the hand to kind of match the angle of that. But I'll go ahead and put the weapon in the hand before I pop it on. It's just because of the double ball joint of this and moving the whole arm, it's way easier to get this attached with the weapon in than to try to put the weapon in the hand while it's attached to his arm. So there he is with one of his axes. So you could attach both the hands and have him carrying both axes and have all 3 swords stored on him and his gun and his jetpack. You can really arm this guy up. Let's go ahead and give him one of these swords as well, just to show off how these works. There's a little cross guard piece that can flip out on that. You find the right left hand, the right left hand. Find the correct left hand. Again, kind of push it through, get it into the fingers. There we go. Slide it in and then attach it. And again, because of the way this like I said, there's the ball joint where the wrist goes on, but this is also on a ball joint, so you get side to side, you get up to down, you get any variation in between. So if you want to have them kind of angle the sword down, angle the sword up, you've got some of that range in the wrist as well. So there he is with a couple of different swords. And there's some shots, you can even get him to hold his, I'll go ahead and, like taking him out is different than putting him in. Just pop him right out. But you can give him to hold his, with the range of motion and the bicep swivel and the elbows. And again, the elbows can bend up, you can rotate them around. Give him some good range of motion in the arms. You can actually get him to hold, double hand his sword here. Go ahead and take just the clip off here. So you can get his hands. Does his palm will come off? No, okay, I guess you're gonna have to just kind of slide it through then. I know the jet axe you can assemble so it fits into his hands. And he comes with not just the jet axe, but the hands to hold it. Which again, like I said before, go ahead and put the weapon in while you are, while the hand is off. It's way easier to tilt it in there. There we go, like that. There we go. Now it's at a good angle. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get it into this hand as well here. There we go. Sure you got the clearance there. So there he is, double handing the sword. Attach it to one arm. Bring it over here. Attach it onto the other. And then you can kind of pose it however you want, but you can get him. Get him in a cool pose here. Getting ready to swing the big old sword. Take out some Decepticons. And it is a big old sword. I'll set that off to the side. And of course, you can hold his rifle. Go ahead and put that in here. Now, the one issue that I've had with this, like I said, aside from like the knees can be a little loose when you're posing, but once you get him in a pose, he's pretty solid. Like I said, that's a spring-loaded panel for the gun, but for whatever reason, when I push the gun all the way through, it pushes this down just enough where it's catching and it doesn't immediately spring back up into place like it should. I've just been using a soft wooden toothpick and I can get in the corner and kind of pop it up. It's clearly some flash or some friction in there, but because of the way this is built, I can't just... There's like caps and covers, and it may even be glued together. Like, I can't get in there. I can't just unscrew it to maybe just slightly buff down a ridge that's getting caught. I can pop it back open, but like I said, that's the one minor flaw in mine. It shouldn't do that. Everyone else's I've seen the reviews, that should pop right back open. Like I said, it's fixable. I'll find a way to get it fixed. But yeah, just go ahead and open the gun. And do the same thing. I'm going to actually break my rule here and do it while it's on his hand. There we go. And now he's got his, oh, it's not, there we go. Make sure it locks in his hand. There we go. Now he's got his classic G1 long rifle. But all in all, just a very fantastic Optimus. I'm very impressed and very happy with him. I'm looking forward to seeing, like I said, I'm really looking forward to the Jazz now. He also comes with a couple of different faces. He comes with a little half angry face with a half smashed faceplate. We'll put him on and zoom in and get him a little close up on here. And then he comes with an unmasked face where it looks like his thing has come down. And again, if you use that with the animated axes, it's a very, and take the jetpack off, it's a fairly decent stand-in for a stylized high-end animated Optimus, which is kind of cool. And to take those heads off, the LEDs work through those eyes, but you just have to come up here very gently and pull off his head crest. Just wiggle it off, just untabs. And then have his head face up, and just kind of get under his chin and pop wiggle the faceplate off. There we go. So wiggle off the faceplate you want to take off. Take one you want to put in. There's a little tab and a slot. So push it back in, make sure it sits all the way in properly. And then just take the head crest and plug it right back in. There we go. And there he is with his, go ahead and turn his LEDs on just so you can see that they work. And go ahead and just bring him forward here. And up. There he is with the half angry face, head on. Let's see if we can't maybe turn that up so you can see more of his face. And then real quick while we got him here, let's go ahead and swap out his unmasked face. There we go. You can leave the LEDs on while you do it. And then head mask. And here he is with his unmasked faceplate. 'Cause, like I said, I really like the way this looks. And then kind of a young looking Optimus, but there you go. Let's go ahead and move him back to where he was. I'm going to go ahead and swap back to his masked face. There we go. Make sure it sits all the way deep. Plug his mask face in. And there we go. And the last accessory that he comes with is a stand. It's a big square stand. I don't know. He stands pretty well without it, but if you want to get some action poses, you can use it. It's got a little gray tab on it that has some slots in it. You'll see it's slotted, and it slots right back into here on the back of his waist. And all you have to do, that little orange and red plastic taillights. How did I not? I hadn't really admired those yet on him and all the detail he's got. Stand up, dude. So you can take this off. You can actually pull this off because I find it's easier to like plug this in by itself and then reattach it to the stand than try to plug it in from on the stand itself, especially depending on how you have the stand angled. But before we get to all the things you can do with this, okay, fine, you're gonna drop your rifle. Let's go ahead and take it out. So the stand moves. You can put it in any of these notches here for various angles. You can move it forward. It's push through it on the bottom and snap it back into place if you want. If you'd rather have them sit a little further forward on the base, you unlock this right here, and you can extend it and then lock it into higher positions. Let's lock it up in the highest position here, like that. And then this piece does come off. It's a ratchet piece. You can't just click it up and down though because of the weight of the figure. So if you want it at a different angle, you have to manually angle it like that. Let's go ahead and move this back here. But if you want to have in like a more dynamic leaping pose, you can pull this off, angle this up, and then attach it onto here and have him doing a ab crunch. Let's see if we can get up here. Ab crunch, bring his leg up like he's doing more of a forward leap. Bring this, let that rotate up on the ball joint like that, and you could even angle that forward a little bit more. If you want him to be, like, again, at more of a forward angle, you can untab that, plug it in like that, and now he's got more of a forward lean there on the stand. If you want him to be doing a higher jumping pose, you just bring it all the way back, and he's up higher. And then if you want him to go even more angled, you can get him, use that ab crunch, bring his arm down, and get him all, there, pop the wing off there. Have him look down. He's doing a big giant leap, bring his arms up like if he's got one of his axes. It's way up there. So it's kind of a leaping jump, but you can use that to have him do any sort of, you can just have him, if you just don't want him to fall off a shelf, you can lower it and just have him stand there, which is a little, I mean, you got such a great range of posability, just having him standing there seems like a waste. I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to have him posed yet, but you can do that and just have him secured on the base. And on top of that, the base itself here can swivel, so he doesn't have to be facing forward on this when it's up. You can have him, you can bring him up, lock it in, and rotate him to the side. And then also but if you rotate it, if it's at an angle, it will angle the robot. But you can take this off. You can actually, there's different grooves, so you can even have this attached at an angle as well, although you don't want to have it at too much of an angle like this, because as this piece does come out, if you have it leaning too far forward, you could have them just fall out of there. You'd want to have them spun this way, so the weight is taken here by the other side of it versus just falling right out. But that's the stand, and that is Kuro Kuri Optimus Prime. He's very impressive in person, very cool, very hefty, and very solidly constructed. Again, I wish I'm going to have to clean out that jetpack so the little spring-loaded flap works. But a very fine introduction to the line and the range of the line. And I'm looking forward to, like I said, definitely looking forward to Jazz and Megatron. And they hinted at they showed a Seeker silhouette. Given their penchant for like all of their bad guy molds, with the exception maybe of, I think Shattered Glass Drift is red, which was an exclusive somewhere, I think. Like, they've got a black and purple Star Saber. They've got Tarn, who is black and purple. The Megatron they chose to do is the Stealth Bomber Megatron, who is black and purple. So it wouldn't surprise me if the first Seeker they do is Skywarp, because they've really got a thing for their dark versions or bad guys to be black and purple. That's just kind of a joke. It's probably going to be Starscream, and I'm curious to see what that looks like in this design style. But like I said, the Jazz looks gorgeous, and I'm looking forward to putting him on the shelf with this Optimus, who is also just... I'm really happy with him. It's a very nice figure. So there it is, the Kuro Kuri 04 Optimus Prime. And thanks for watching. It's from Flame Toys. And a couple of last-second addendums vis-a-vis the backpack, vis-a-vis... you can pull the thrusters off if you'd like to have the IDW wings and backpack and the gun storage and not, for whatever reason, the jetpack thrusters. Those are just pegged in. You can pop them right off if you so choose. Also, I found out that looking inside, the little gray clip piece assembly that runs through the backpack that has the tabs that plug into his actual back, just a little piece of flash on the back of him that was catching right up here at this very corner edge of the spring-loaded piece. But I took a file and filed that down, and now you can store the gun in and pop it back out, and it pops right back up like it should. So it was just a minor, very, very minor piece of flash in there that was keeping that from working. So fix that, and all is well. Again, thanks for watching. And if you're interested in picking them up, I do highly recommend them. It's a very solid figure.